Good morning, everybody. Oh, it's coffee time. It is 7:45 on Wednesday, the 26th of October. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Yeah, it's Wednesday morning. I'm up a bit earlier again today. Not really as early as I am, when I'm at work, but early enough for holiday. Yeah, and I'm up early today. The plan today is to crack on with the dyeing first thing. I didn't sleep very well last night, actually. I kept waking up and kept worrying about the dyeing that I've got to do today. And that's partly because I've got something I need to get sent to a friend while she's over here in the UK. And time has slipped away and I'm kind of like, oh my God, I've got to get this dyed and dried and get it posted ASAP. So I think that's what was keeping me awake last night. Just kind of went, oh, I should have planned this better. I hadn't really sort of thought about the dates properly. So yeah, so this morning I'm going to dye that sport weight yarn. I'm going to dye some bits and pieces that are surprises for other people, so can't be shown. But I'm trying to think how much yarn. I think I've put in a couple of extra skeins that'll just be sort of random, I think. So somebody said about showing you the dyeing process. I've only got a small kitchen, and when I'm dyeing, all the work surfaces are kind of full and stuff gets tossed around everywhere. So I haven't really got space to set up the tripod, but what I will try and do maybe, and I can't really film something, hold the camera with one hand and only have one hand while I'm dyeing stuff. So it's not really very easy for me. I know some people have got bigger kitchens or better setup. And also today as well, I'm kind of just need to get on with it. So there won't be much being filmed while I'm dyeing. Might show you a few pictures of stuff in the dye pan. But yeah, that's really why I can't sort of show actual footage of me dyeing properly. So yeah, so that's the first task. I will check in with you when I'm done that. Okay, so having said that, I can't really show much of my dyeing. I'm going to experiment with a couple of skeins that I've got here. Going to use a colourway that I haven't used before. Going to do a bit of speckling, which I don't do very often. And yeah, it's just going to be a bit of a play around. I'll film what I can, but like I say, that's a bit difficult, filming things and then dyeing stuff one-handed, but I'll film what I can. Okay, so I've got two skeins of my luxury sock, the 85-15% merino nylon blend. I've opened it out quite a bit. This is going to be what they call low immersion dyeing. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of flood this pan with a very pale salmony pink. That's going to be the first task. So this is where it's a bit difficult, because normally I would move the yarn around as I put the liquid in, but as I'm going to be holding the camera with one hand, it's going to be a bit tricky. So I'm just trying to make sure. That's the alarm going off to tell me my pan that's on the stove has reached temperature. So yeah, I'm just going to open up the yarn as much as I can. Okay, and you can see this is a very, very pale. So we're just going to so that's a very delicate peachy colour, and obviously that's going to be quite variegated with that, but that's fine. I just want a really subtle colour on this, because as I say, I'm going to speckle it anyway. Just going to turn it over. Splashed water everywhere. Now, actually, what I think I'm going to do, because there's quite a lot of yarn that hasn't got any dye yet, probably going to take this yarn out, put a little bit more dye into the water, and then put it back in. Told you, we're playing around, experimenting today. So you can see this water is really, really clear where the yarn soaked up all that dye straight away. I say all that dye, there wasn't much in there, so I'm going to squirt some more dye into here. There's so many different techniques with dyeing. Okay, then I'm going to put the yarn back in, and then I'll just pick up some more of this very, very pale salmony pink. Okay, so you can't really see it on the video, but that has added a tiny bit more colour. So that's going to go on the stove, and I'm going to heat it up to 85 degrees, and when it gets to 85 degrees we'll do some speckling. So I bring the dye outside if the weather's not chucking it down with the rain. The pot's outside to cool down, and so this is the sport weight yarn that I said I wanted to dye a very dark purple, and I am so pleased with it. It's similar to the Stormy Skies colourway that I do, a little bit different because I didn't have one of the dye stocks that I usually use for this, so I wanted to make it a little bit more purple as well, because the Stormy Skies is more of a royal blue. So this, oh my god, I love it. So that's cooling down. There's 3 skeins in there, which means I've got 2 more skeins of sport weight yarn, which I think I'm going to dye a pinky purple, a light pinky purple, because then if I change my mind, or I've got 3 skeins of this, I'm not going to need 3 skeins of this for the Alpen Glow. So if I do the other 2 skeins in a contrasting colour to this, I've already got enough then for 2 sweaters. Okay, so it's hit temperature, so it's going to be time for speckling, but what I need to do, the bits that I want to speckle, I need to bring up out of the water, because you don't want the powder to hit the water particularly. You want it to hit the yarn outside of the water. Really, I should drain some of the water off of here. So I've just taken out some of this out of the water. Right, and you need to wear a face mask when you speckle as well, so I won't be speaking while I'm speckling because I'll have the face mask on. Let's put the light on. Right, so let me just go and get set up to speckle. So some of my dyes have gone a bit clumpy, so I'm having to use a sieve, which means I definitely need both hands to do it. But you can see where I've speckled some pink on there. I'm going to also speckle a blue and a lavender as well. Okay, so you can see some of those speckles. I'm going to turn the yarn over in a second and do the other side. Quite a lot come out there. Okay, so that's speckled really nicely. I'm pleased with that actually. So just need to leave that to simmer for 5–10 minutes, not very long really, and then that will go out to cool. Okay, so I said I was going to dye the other sport weight in a pink. This is the dye bath ready, so again I'm using a different technique. So it's a very bright pink, or it looks a very bright pink. It probably will not be as bright as this once the yarn is in it. I'm going to put 2 skeins of the sport weight yarn in this. Okay, so the yarn is in this pink. Oh, it's beautiful, it's like a raspberry pink. That now, so I put that in cold, so now I'm going to put that on the stove to heat up. The speckled yarn is probably nearly ready to come off the stove, so this will go onto the stove. Okay, so the speckled yarn is out to cool down in the garden. The next part of the process, once it's cooled down a bit, it doesn't have to be cold, just cool down a bit, is it will now transfer. This is what I'm going to do with the sport weight yarn. That will still be really quite hot because of the type of pan it's in, but it'll be fine going into this water. This water's kind of warmish. And this water's just got washing up liquid in. Excuse me. So what we're going to do is just pop this in here for 20 minutes or so, just to get out any excess dye. So you can see that there is still a bit of pinky purple residue in the pan, so not all the dye was taken up, which is fine. There was a lot of dye in there. What I need to see is that when I put it in here, is the water clear, which it does seem to be. So it looks like the actual yarn has taken the dye really well. There doesn't seem to be any purple coming in to that water, which is brilliant. I mean, I'll rinse it through, I'll refresh the water and rinse it through, but it certainly looks pretty good. It may be a bit pinky purple down here, so yeah, I'll take this in to the kitchen in a minute and run it through water just to make sure we've got all the excess dye out and it's not going to run. Oh, I'm so pleased with that colour. So next step is the spin dryer in the garage, and this is another way as well that I can check that we've got no excess dye because the water is running clear out here. I have to say, getting the spin dryer, and I just got this second hand, was an absolute game changer to get it dry more quickly. So I wasn't happy that the water wasn't running as clear as I wanted it, so it has gone back into the pan. I'm going to reheat it and leave it on to cook for a little bit longer to try and get that dye to set. Just sat down. So I have been dyeing for about 3 hours this morning. So I made the right call not to do it yesterday afternoon because now I've got all the clearing up to do. I've left the purple yarn on the stove to try and soak up the rest of the excess dye, and so I haven't got any. That's the problem with dyeing darker colours, is that they can run, the dye can run. So you've got to make sure that you've given it long enough and then give it a really, really good rinse. I rinsed out that yarn 3 or 4 times and it was still running purple, so I was like, no, that needs to go back. Took it off too quickly. So it's gone back. The speckled yarn is in the bath at the moment. It's in the washing up liquid bath, and then it will go into a bath with Eucalan, and then after that it goes in the spin dryer. So, and then it goes on the line or in the airing cupboard or on the dryer to try and get it dry. At the moment I've put some of the yarn out on the line, some of the stuff you can't see. I've put that out on the line because it's quite windy. It is sunny, although the sun hasn't really hit that part of the garden yet, but I'm hoping I can get it like 80%, 90% dried on the line, then bring it in, pop it in the airing cupboard, and it'll be dry tomorrow, hopefully. Right, so I'm going to tidy up the kitchen, then it'll be time for some lunch, and then I'll have a shower, or I might have a shower and then lunch. What is it about blue dye? It's like as soon as you open the pot, it just jumps out onto your fingers. So yeah, so clean up the kitchen, have a shower, have some lunch, and then I think I am going to go into town for those bits that I didn't go into town for yesterday. I need to get buttons for the baby cardigan. I finished the baby cardigan last night, so I'll show that to you in a bit when I haven't got dye all over my hands. Okay. So hello, it is just gone 5 o'clock in the evening. So I have been into town. I went to the market and got some buttons for the baby cardigan. I've not brought those down with me actually, but I'll be sewing those on probably this evening or tomorrow, so we should see the finished cardigan tomorrow, including buttons. And I also went into Flying Tiger and saw a couple of really cute sort of knitting ideas, present ideas for knitters. So there's a little bit of film footage of those as well. My phone's going mad now as well. But I just thought I would show you some of the finished, well, kind of finished items from what I dyed earlier. So the speckled one is this one. I have no idea for a name for this. I'm not sure either whether I'm going to put it in the shop or not, because to me it looks like it's got quite a lot without any speckles on. So there's two skeins of this. One definitely had more speckles than the other. So I might put this second skein in, the one which I think this is the one. I don't know actually, it's got quite a lot of speckles there, but there does seem to be. So I don't know whether I'm happy with this, whether it will go into the shop as it is, or whether I will potentially put it back in and add more speckles to it. This is why I don't like doing speckles. It's so hard to judge the right amount of speckles. But I do love the very gentle colour of it though. It's very pretty. So that's one of the ones that I've dyed, and I did say it was a bit of an experiment. The sport weight. So this is the purple, and it's exactly what I wanted. Exactly what I wanted. Really deep tonal purple. And then the pink is this, which is possibly a little bit brighter than I had anticipated. But having said that, my plan was, as I say, I've got 3 skeins of the purple. I won't need 3 skeins for the top that I want to do. Probably only take just over, well, I don't know, take over just over, I'm trying to think, maybe 1.5 skeins. So I should have these to go together as well. So this is sport weight. It's a really plump sport weight. It's beautiful actually. It's 100% superwash merino. By the way, if you thought that I was treating the wool quite harshly by putting it in hot water, cold water, hot water, cold water, generally speaking, superwash wool will withstand an awful lot. It can cope with changes of temperature. Can't do that with non-treated merino or wool, but superwash, that's the whole point of it being superwash, it can cope with going into quite a change of temperature. I mean, some dyers use microwaves, trust me, they do not heat, that does not heat up the yarn gently and slowly. So if you're surprised about that, yeah, that's something I learned, because the first few times I dyed, I did it so slowly, so carefully, and then I went on a dyeing workshop where they just bunged it in the microwave for a couple of minutes, and I was like, oh, really? It won't melt? And they were like, no, superwash will withstand a lot, and it does. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so these still need drying. They are still damp, so they'll probably go in. I do love this one actually. I do love this one. I'm going to double check, because I think one of them had speckled a lot more evenly. I think this is the one that didn't, so I might keep this one for myself and put the other one in the shop. But I do love that one. Really pretty. Right, anyway, that's the end of today's vlog. Tomorrow, well, I'm going to be working on Advent stuff this evening, working on Advent stuff tomorrow, getting them packed up. Plan is to have them out the door Friday and Saturday. Might be 2 trips to the post office. Then they will be done. Of course, tomorrow as well, the wool should be arriving for the theatre vest, or we will see. But thank you for watching. I hope you found the yarn dyeing stuff interesting. Having said that, I wasn't going to video it. I tried my best so, to record what I could. So I hope you found that interesting. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.